got that. Welcome everyone. Today it is Sandra Alexei from Game Changer and my personal muse. And you can, I would hope that you would comment, that you would share, that you would subscribe. And if you put comments in at the end of the month, I do a draw to do a mini reading. And I'm really excited today because we have a very, very special guest, Christy Lee Bolton from Sylvan Lake. And she was a warrior, a businesswoman who defied and opened her business. And this is what we need. We need people of courage. Okay, Christy, and so I'm going to just let you say who you are, what actually happened, because this is about you. And what you can do is, just as you found somebody to inspire you, you can inspire other people. So it's your story.
Oh, I sure hope so.
Perfect.
Hi.
Thank you.
Christy Lee Bolton here. I am the owner-operator of Hockey Central Sports Lounge in Sylvan Lake. I bought it 2.5 years ago in good faith that I would be able to operate my business between 10 a.m. and 2 a.m. with a capacity of 190 people 7 days a week. I do feel a little violated that due to a virus that has yet to prove to be catastrophic, has impeded my business for almost 12 straight months now. The restrictions have been crippling and my debt load has increased exponentially. So the question here is why I chose to do what I did. And the answer is 3-part. One, my son is a burn survivor. He needs 3 to 5 surgeries a year to live a comfortable, happy life. And with the current restrictions, I would not have been able, if the Stollery had called and said that they had a date for him for a surgery, I would have had to turn it down because I couldn't afford to pay staff to sit at Hockey Central and hope the phone rings for takeout and delivery. And I also couldn't afford to close the doors for a week. So I would have had to turn down a necessary surgery for my son to save the business that I have worked many years to build. Now, the second part is my debt load. When I bought Hockey Central, I had a 10-year plan. With the events of the last 12 months, that's now a 15 to a 17-year plan before I can dig myself out of the debt that's been created due to COVID. And I'm 45. I don't want to be 65, still trying to pay off a dream that was supposed to last 10 years.
Right.
It was too much of a sentence for me. Like, it was starting to feel not like a passion and more like a sentence. And I would have rather claimed bankruptcy than be stuck, unable to move, feeling like my feet were in cement blocks.
Right.
And the third is I was 100% inspired by Blades to Fades out of Innisfail when she decided to defy the orders and open up her barber shop. The hypocrisy in our government, the way that they have dictated themselves, made it impossible for me, in my mind, to follow those orders any longer. They said that they had data that proved that there was contact tracing for this virus in restaurants and gyms, but they refused to share it. And the day that they said that, it was 1 week and 1 day before I opened my doors. The day they said that, I said to myself, if you can't tell me why my doors are closed, they are coming open. Enough is enough. It was time to fight back. It was time to say, prove it. Prove it.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I gave all of the authorities a week notice very publicly that I was opening my doors.
Oh, right. So right in Sylvan Lake, you phoned the people to say, I'm opening my doors.
No, I did it publicly on all social media avenues.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I knew that it would definitely get to them.
It would get to them. Exactly. Exactly.
And they did. They called ahead of time and I just didn't answer the phone. And when AHS and RCMP showed up the first day that I opened, she asked me, she said, one of the first things she said was, I have been trying to get a hold of you. And I said, yep, sure have. And she said, well, why didn't you answer the phone? And I said, because I didn't want to give you an opportunity to give me a warning before I'd even broken the law.
Good for you.
And she said, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And she said, so what is your purpose here? Why why did you choose to open your doors to defy orders? And I said, because it was the only way I could create an audience with you. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I believe that this industry, all of us, can operate just as clean and safe as all the retail outlets out there against this virus. And I needed to create a position where you had to come to me so I could prove it to you.
Good for you.
And she says, oh. And I said, look around. All of these tables are spaced more than 6 feet apart. If anybody's moving around the room, they're wearing a mask. All of the servers are wearing a mask. Everything gets washed and sanitized every time somebody comes and goes. No condiments get touched by more than one person at a time. Everything is way, way far and above any gas station or grocery store or retail outlet out there. It doesn't make sense to me that I can go to Old Navy and try on a pair of pants, but I can't go to a restaurant in a AHS approved facility,
Right.
in cleaner conditions than anybody's kitchen at home, and have a meal.
Right. So they never said that there was going to be any fines or anything, because I think that other lady that you were talking to, the one that was kind of like your inspiration, I think they actually fined her at first, and she just said, you can keep fining me and I'm going to just keep open.
I was threatened. AHS that day gave me a warning and a closure order. They came back the next day and gave me a warning and a closure order, both times stating, you realize that you're putting yourself and your customers and staff at risk of fines, $5,000 to the business and $1,200 to every person in the room. And I said, yep. And everybody that walks in the door understands the risks.
What? Really?
But they never did. She came on the Wednesday, the 27th and the 28th, the Thursday. And I never saw her again until she showed up this week with a you're allowed to open order.
Oh, okay. So just you having the courage.
Well,
What you needed to do made them start thinking, I would hope.
yes. I can only assume, because I opened on the Wednesday. There was a huge media presence about it. And on Friday, they announced that restaurants could open on February 8th. So I think that's why they never came back, because what's the point?
Right. And actually it's an incredible day today, because we have a new moon in Aquarius, which is all about, and we have all these planets. We actually have a Jupiter, because I'm an astrologer, a Jupiter-Venus conjunction. And today on February the 11th, and then we have the Chinese New Year tomorrow. But today, February 11th, was all businesses open in Alberta. We've been passing that around on the website. There's a big sign, because I think a bunch of people in Red Deer just said, this has got to stop, and it has to stop somewhere.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah. And even if you go by the government, their own words, their own numbers, there is less cases in Alberta today than there was in October. Right. When everything was wide open. So why are we not wide open?
Right. It's a matter of control as far as I'm concerned. But
I couldn't agree with you more.
We've got to the point where it's now about freedom and it's about sovereignty. And so people have been locked down enough to say, you can't do this to me. I am a sovereign being. I have rights. Okay. And we're really lucky to have a lot of people that are influencers that are working to help everybody with that, to know what the rules are and everything.
I agree.
Yeah.
I actually, it's funny you should mention that. I got into a bit of a spat with my aunt last week. And part of the content was, she says, oh, well, if you're such an oppressed Canadian, maybe you should move to the United States. And I said, you know what, Auntie? If I was to leave Canada because I don't agree with what's going on here, I wouldn't move to the United States. I'd move to China or Russia, because at least they're honest about their communism. And I understand the rules walking in.
Right, exactly. But that's another thing. It has really made a division within families and within friends. And actually, this is the big time, Christy, that we actually have to stand for. I always say, stand for what you believe or you will fall for anything. And I think you are also a mentor to everyone in Sylvan Lake and your own son and everybody to be able to say, this is who I am. I have to stand for this, because there are people. I know one lady, she said her daughter-in-law said, if you don't have the vaccine, you'll never see your grandchild. Now that is just like, so I'm very detached from that. As soon as somebody says something to me like, oh, maybe you're too old, you should stay home, or they swore at me because I didn't have a mask, I just let it go. It's like water. That's their issue. But I'm very detached now and watch who people are. Like it's always been an eye opener for me because of the industry I'm in and the different things I've done in my life. But I think for a lot of people, so for you to say now, are you still talking to your aunt? You talked to her, she's not, she didn't say, I didn't want to talk to you anymore. People can agree to disagree as far as I'm concerned.
No, she did get a little bit heated, and I just simply stated, I said, you know what, Auntie, you're getting aggressive. I'm not, and I refuse to. And she immediately came back with, I'm sorry, you're right. She says, my goodness, you've probably never heard me swear before. I'm sorry. She said, the divisiveness of all of this is killing me. And I said, it's killing us all, but we can't let them win. And she said, you're right, we can't.
Yeah.
So
Because I
the
think
the conversation pivoted almost immediately, but it's because, like you said, you back away from it.
And I refuse to get sucked in. I refuse to have somebody else's negative emotions affect mine.
right. So you detach from it and you keep yourself very strong, because I think this is also an important thing, because I think we're having a lot of high anxiety. We're having a lot of trauma. We're actually having cognizant dissonance. A lot of people can't even process simple things that they need to do every day because of the high anxiety and the amount of time. And so I think you got to become really clear and know who you are and stand for what you believe, and got to do what you got to do. And that's what you did.
I don't think I disassociate myself with it. I think I deflect it with a positive reaction.
Right. Yeah.
I don't ignore it. I don't make it go away. I don't just push it off to the side and say I'm not dealing with that negative emotion. I react to it with a more positive approach. So
Right.
It's not putting people on the shelf. It's saying, no, we don't have to behave this way to each other.
Right.
We can do it this way.
Right. So rather than react, you respond. And that's the whole thing. A lot of people don't want to. They want to keep their head in the sand or the rose-colored glasses on and say, you know, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. But we've seen for months it hasn't been all right, and it wasn't getting any better. So people had to make a stand.
That's right.
So rather than deflecting, like your cognizant dissonance is that some people just can't handle it, and that's all right. But what you did was you hit it head on, you looked at the reality of it, and then you responded and did what you have to do, and you didn't react. And so I think that was probably a real positive for you with your aunt in how it was handled.
But I believe that I did react. I just didn't react with the same negative energy that was thrown at me.
Right. So you came in with more logic and reasoning that had integrity and was a higher vibration, basically.
And yes, and put a positive spin to it. I don't want to fight with anybody, but I'm not going to lay down and agree with you either. So I have like a very agree to disagree kind of a policy with most of my conversations. And at the end of the day, that agree to disagree is always left on a positive note if I can help it.
Right. So your disagreeing is more of a negotiation than a compromise. And I bet you,
That's right.
I bet you all your clients were really excited, eh?
They were
Very supportive. And I know when
extremely.
we stopped in the other day, the girls were so great. It's so good. The food is wonderful. It's a great energy in there. I would really recommend everybody stop in if you're in Sylvan Lake. And what I want to do, Christy, is I want to make sure I have all the hashtags when I put this out. And then I'll get a hold of you and let you know when it's out there. So if you just want to kind of tie it up and I'm not sure where you went. Okay, there you go. If you just kind of want to tie it up and give them some inspiration for anybody. I mean, we're looking at a lot of things right now. We're looking at lockdowns. We're looking at, they want to quarantine us at the airport. They want to do this. They want to do that. They want to do this. Well, if they tried to put me in jail, they'd want to get me out as soon as they could. Let's put it that way. Okay.
I suppose my inspiration came from, I am very law abiding. I am very respectful. I understand that we need laws. We need order. I don't want to live in a chaotic world,
No.
but these laws have to make sense for all of us. And breaking the law and defying it terrified me. It 100% terrified me. But now that I've done it for the right reasons, and I want to be very clear, it was a victimless crime. You can't just go all anarchist and decide what you think is right and wrong and do whatever you choose.
Yeah.
But when I broke this public health order, I did it with the intention of it benefiting the greater everybody, not just myself. I did not attack it from a selfish point of view.
No.
I wanted everybody to open, not just me. I wanted everybody to open with me. They were just scared.
Right. So,
And I was terrified. But once I took that leap, it felt like freedom. I felt like I grew a pair of wings. I have never felt like I could stand taller or take a deeper breath than in the last few weeks. So my advice, my inspiration would be, do what you think in your heart of hearts is the right thing.
yeah. And that's basically the journey. Okay. You became the butterfly.
I sure did.
Right. So thank you so much. I get really emotional because it's about freedom.
It humbles me that I can bring on that kind of emotion. It makes me feel like this was all so worthwhile.
Well, yeah. And that's why for me, it's your story, your voice, just like that lady inspired you.
That's right.
Now, when I share it, you can inspire other people in all different kind of things, not just opening their business, but in other ways that they need to go within and say, what am I going to do? And this is truly the Aquarian energy. It's about for everyone. It's got to be for the benefit of all involved. If it's for the benefit of self, it's very egoic, and that's just what we're getting away from. So you're actually helping everybody.
And that's just not who I am.
Right.
I don't have it in me to do things this
Selfishly.
large just for myself. I just don't have it in me.
No. So anyway, I thank you so much. It's just been so awesome. And as soon as I put it up, then I'll get a hold of you and you can share it. And if you ever want to come and do a story again, tell us about anything, let me know. That's what I'm here for. I do the.
I want a reading.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I want to come out and do some out there. I went to that little health place too. And so I'll talk to you about that. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I am going to just stop now.